Hey, I'm Marc Morgenstern. Welcome to my video series on the human side of buying and selling businesses. And it's all based on one of my maxims. People, not spreadsheets, are the epicenter of every deal. There have been lots of influences on my life. The 400 deals I've done is certainly part of them. Selling encyclopedias door to door was part of it. Following the Grateful Dead for 5 decades was part of it. It's also worth mentioning that I taught a course at UC Berkeley that I created called Street Smart Startups. It was all based on my book, The Soul of the Deal. Every deal's different, and you have to think about it that way. One of the strangest things I've ever been involved with was a potential sale of a financially distressed company. It was owned by a family. It had been owned by them for probably 50 years. They'd run on hard times. They'd taken out too much money. Sales weren't so good. They needed to sell it. More to the point, their banker had said, "We won't extend you any more credit. We won't lend you any more money." What we're saying in bank speak is, sell the company. We aren't going to let you keep on as an operating company drawing salaries. Sell it now. That gave the seller an urgency accelerator. It would be hard to not understand that signal. They took a reasonable approach and used their longtime financial advisor to sort of screen the deal. It was their first gig doing this. But intuitively, they set up what is not a bad process, which is sort of an informal auction. The only people who were ever going to buy this business were people in the industry. It wasn't going to be sold to a private equity group or a venture capital fund. You had to be a bigger company that knew what these assets were worth, could use them, could take the inventory, collect the receivables. Otherwise, there wasn't a company. And the real prize was the seller's customers, which were gold-plated, and their sales force, which were fabulous. The financial advisor sent out a very short-form letter that sort of said, "Hey, we're thinking of selling the business. What would you pay for it?" Many other industry bidders did bid. We bid. We put in a number. It was $11 million. Didn't cost us anything. It didn't bind us to anything. It just kept us in the discussion. And we kept waiting for something to happen where somebody was going to try to get to a closing and separate out the bidders. But the advisor never did that. They just sort of kept passively accepting things, and time was dragging on. And time is not your friend, particularly if you're talking about a financially distressed company. Because when you're in distress, every single day, the value of the company pretty much goes down. You're a worse company. You're a less valuable company. And if you don't get it sold, by the way, you're a bankrupt company. One day I talked with the CEO and said, "Hey, I know why you wanted to buy this company 2 months ago, but given everything that's happened, do you still want to buy the company? I want to know so we're not wasting time." And he thought about it and said, "Yeah, I do, but only if we get this closed really quickly, because if it keeps going on, it's not worth anything and I don't want to buy it." I said, "Okay, then let's change our tactics. We know the seller's mantra. We know the problems these folks are placing. I think we can separate ourselves from other bidders, not with our purchase price, but with our approach. Let's go ahead and do a crazy thing. It's also an expensive thing. Let's create every document as if we're closing the deal tomorrow. Prepare the whole 60-page acquisition agreement. Prepare the non-competition agreements. Prepare the employment agreements. Prepare the letter we need from the bank indicating that the assets are free and clear. Every single piece of paper. And the reason is, we can send that to them and say, "Hey, we are different than any other buyer you have. This is our deal. You don't have to guess. It's all here. And here's our proposal. We're prepared to come and spend one day with all of you, all the decision makers in one room, and negotiate it. We'll get there early. You're out of town. We'll get there probably at 7 o'clock. But here's what you need to know. We will leave at 5 o'clock. Because we've got a plane taking us home at 6 o'clock. We created time urgency and we created a deadline. Those all help buyers. Now, what did it look like on the sell side? What had we done to respond to the seller's mantra? We'd almost completely eliminated uncertainty. We told them what we were going to pay them. It was cash. We weren't going to make any deferred payments. We told them what we wanted by way of a non-competition agreement. We told the bank that they'd get paid in full, so they didn't need to worry. We told them that we were the best buyer because everyone in the industry knew us. We'd bought many other companies, and your employees will love us. We took out every possible degree of uncertainty by the approach that we took. And by the way, when we said that to the potential seller over the telephone, we said, here's what we're doing. Here's why our approach should work for you and we're better than everybody else. And by the way, every other bidder is nothing but uncertainty. You don't know what their documents will look like. You don't know how the bank will react. You don't know how your customers react. You won't know any of the things you want to know. So repeat after me, your mantra should be certainty. That's what we're giving you, is certainty. They agreed to it. And we went there, and when the meeting started, I said, I'd just like to remind you what we said. It's 7 o'clock now. We're leaving at 5 o'clock. That gives us 10 hours to get this deal done. If we get this done by 5 o'clock, great. We have a deal, we'll close in 30 days. If we don't have a deal by 5 o'clock, we're still leaving, but we will never have a deal. We will drop out of the bidding, and you're free to talk with whoever you want to, but you won't have us as a bidder. And by doing that, I both reinforced the deadline, and I also put on the table the uncertainty of everybody who wasn't us. We were the proverbial bird in the hand. Did you want us, or did you want the two birds in the bush? Negotiation went pretty well on everything except probably the most important variable, which was the actual purchase price. The seller said $25 million. We said $11.5 million. They said $20 million. We said $11.5 million. They said $18 million. We said $11.5 million. But at 4:15, I said, we need to take a break. We did. We talked. I said, it's 4:15. It's almost 5. How are we going to get this thing closed? And here's what I suggest. I think when we walk back in, we tell them, here's a final purchase price. Here's what it is. And take it or leave it. But we're done negotiating. We went back in, and at the request of the CEO, I gave the speech. Here's what I could have said. I could have just walked back in that room and said, $12 million. It isn't what they wanted, but that's what we're willing to pay. If I said that, I don't know that they'd really hear that that was my final offer. It's just $12 million. Someone was sleeping at that moment, or not paying attention, or looking out the window, or someone coughed, or eating a sandwich. They might not even have heard it. But drawing from the Grateful Dead and music, here's what I did. This is our final offer. I want you to listen really carefully. It's not $12.8 million. It's not $12.6 million. It's not $12.2 million. It's not $12.50 million. It's exactly $12 million. Take it or leave it. Here's what my goal was. By going like that, I knew that everybody was focused on me. They were paying attention. They had to follow my hand. And if they were following my hand, they were following the words. And it was a crescendo. And as it went down and down and down, I could almost see on their faces, where is this going to stop? If it's not 28, and if it's not 12.8, and it's not 12.6, and it's not 12.2, maybe it's only 7. I don't know what's going to be the end of that crescendo. But when they heard at the end of the crescendo it was 12, we actually increased our offer by $500,000. They were incredibly relieved. They wouldn't have experienced it that way if I just walked back in and said, here's our final offer, it's $12 million. I gave them emotional reasons and context for accepting it. And they did, and we closed 30 days later. Propinquity counts. It means that if it's important, you do it in person. People react differently when you're with them than over a telephone, a Zoom call, or any other thing you can do. That's why we had all the decision makers in one room in that story. Nobody could influence them except the people in that room. So when we got to a yes, we knew it actually was a yes. Any other way, we don't know that. Propinquity counts. And the last one, I think you're tired of hearing me say it, but I'm going to say it again anyway. The seller's mantra is certainty and confidentiality. The seller's mantra is certainty and confidentiality. Hope you get to employ it. If you've listened to all of this, and I'd like to say thank you for that, and you want to learn more, I'd encourage you to pick up a copy of The Soul of the Deal. Find a link in the description of this video.